The grand hall of the Galactic Council sparkled like a field of stars. Hundreds of alien species filled the circular chamber, their forms as varied as the planets they called home. Some floated in anti-gravity pods, others stood on mechanical legs, and a few existed as pure energy contained in special suits. Admiral James Walker sat quietly at the human delegation's desk, his weathered face betraying no emotion. After 30 years in space, very little surprised him anymore, but today's meeting was testing his patience. "And now," announced the council speaker, "we move to discuss humanity's petition for increased territorial rights in the Orion Arm." A rumble of laughter rippled through the chamber. From his elevated platform, Ambassador Drell of the Valdorian Empire rose to speak. His crystalline body structure caught the light, sending rainbow patterns across the walls. Esteemed colleagues, Drell's translator conveyed his mocking tone perfectly. Once again, we find ourselves entertaining demands from our charming primitive friends. He gestured toward Walker with 3 of his upper limbs. These humans, who still rely on chemical rockets and crude fusion drives. More laughter filled the chamber. Walker remained still, his hands folded on the desk. "Let us examine their space fleet," Drell continued, activating a holographic display. Images of Earth's most advanced ships appeared above the council floor. "Look at these vessels. Bulky, inefficient. Their heat signatures are visible from half a galaxy away. Their radar profiles are so obvious, even a child's first scanner could detect them." The Valdorian turned to face Walker directly. "Tell me, Admiral, how do you expect to protect expanded territory when your ships announce their presence like noisy infants? When your finest vessels move through space with all the grace of a meteor storm?" Walker cleared his throat. "We manage, Ambassador." This simple response triggered more amusement among the delegates. A bug-like representative from the Centauri Collective clicked its mandibles in what passed for their version of laughter. "They manage," Drell repeated, encouraging the mockery. "Just as they managed to barely achieve faster-than-light travel a mere 50 years ago. Just as they managed to maintain their tiny collection of colony worlds with their outdated technology." The ambassador floated closer to the human section. "Perhaps, Admiral, before requesting more territory, you should focus on developing basic stealth technology. Even our cargo ships possess more sophisticated cloaking systems than your entire military fleet." Walker simply nodded, the ghost of a smile touching his lips. "Thank you for your advice, Ambassador. We'll take it under consideration." As the laughter continued, Walker's mind drifted to a secure facility deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean. He thought about Project Phantom, about the U.S. Nightshade sitting in its underground dock, about technology that would make these arrogant species choke on their mockery. But now wasn't the time. The council speaker called for a vote. To no one's surprise, Earth's petition was denied. As the session ended and delegates began filing out, Ambassador Drell approached Walker one final time. "No hard feelings, Admiral," the crystalline being said, his tone dripping with false sympathy. "Perhaps in another 100 years, your species will be ready for such responsibilities." Walker stood, straightening his uniform. "You know, Ambassador, there's an old saying on Earth, 'Pride goes before a fall.'" "How quaint," Drell replied. "Another human idiom. You have so many of them, yet so little to show for your supposed wisdom." Walker watched the Valdorian glide away, then touched the secure communicator in his pocket. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn just how dangerous it was to underestimate humanity. But for now, silence was the best response to mockery. After all, the best surprises were the ones nobody saw coming. 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface, Dr. Anna Wells stared through reinforced glass at humanity's greatest achievement. The U.S. Nightshade floated in its massive underground dock, its hull seeming to shift and ripple like a mirage in desert heat. "Beautiful, isn't she?" Captain Michael Reed stood beside her, his face reflected in the observation window. Unlike the mockery of standard ships at the Galactic Council, the Nightshade had no obvious shape. Its form appeared to bend light itself, making it hard for even human eyes to focus on. 6 years of work, Anna replied, checking readings on her tablet. Worth every sleepless night. She turned to face the small group gathered in the observation room. The quantum field is stable. Gravity distortion systems are operating at peak efficiency. She's ready. Admiral Walker stood at the back of the room, having returned from the Galactic Council meeting just hours ago. "Show me," he ordered. Anna nodded and pressed several controls on her tablet. In the dock, the nightshade began to change. Its already difficult to see hull started to fade, becoming transparent. Within 30 seconds, the massive ship had vanished completely. "Full invisibility," Anna explained, pride clear in her voice. Not just to visible light, but to every known form of detection. Radar, thermal imaging, quantum scanning. Even the Valdorians' most advanced sensors can't detect her. Walker walked closer to the window. "And the power systems. That's the real breakthrough," Captain Reed answered. "The quantum reactor doesn't just power the ship, it erases our energy signature completely. We don't leave so much as a ripple in space-time. As far as any observer is concerned, we simply don't exist." In the dock, the invisible ship powered up its engines. The only sign of its operation was a slight disturbance in the water, like a gentle current. No heat, no radiation, no subspace distortion, nothing that would give away its presence. "The crew is ready," Reed continued. "We've run every possible simulation. The neural interface systems let us feel the ship even when we can't see it. It's become an extension of our bodies." Walker turned to face them. "The Valdorians are getting bold. Our outer colonies have reported strange sensor readings, ships appearing and disappearing. They're testing our defenses, thinking we're blind and helpless." He smiled grimly. "Time to show them how wrong they are." Anna brought up another display, showing 5 more dry docks deeper in the facility. "The sister ships are nearly complete. Within 2 months, Earth will have a fleet of phantoms." 2 months, Walker mused. "Will the Valdorians wait that long?" "They don't need to," Reed said confidently. "The Nightshade can handle anything they throw at us. 1 ship or 100. They can't fight what they can't see." In the dock, the maintenance crews began final preparations. Though they couldn't see the ship, years of practice let them move around it with practiced ease. They were loading the latest in human weapons technology, quantum torpedoes that could phase through standard shields, gravity bombs that could tear ships apart from the inside. "Tomorrow," Walker announced, "we begin sea trials. If everything checks out, we move to space testing within the week." He looked at each person in the room. "What we do here changes everything. The galaxy thinks they know humanity's capabilities. They think they've seen all we can do." Reed nodded. "They see what we want them to see. Old ships, outdated technology. A carefully crafted illusion," Anna added, "while we built something they never imagined possible." The invisible ship powered down, becoming faintly visible again like a ghost materializing from thin air. Its hull seemed to absorb the light around it, a predator waiting in the depths. Walker smiled, remembering the mocking laughter in the council chamber. "Let them underestimate us. Soon enough, they'll learn that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology." He paused. "It's our ability to make the impossible possible." Deep beneath the Pacific, the U.S. Nightshade waited silently, humanity's invisible guardian, ready to change the galaxy forever. The emergency alarm jolted Captain Reed awake at 300 hours. He was in the underwater base's command center within 5 minutes, still adjusting his uniform. Admiral Walker's grim face filled the main screen. "We've lost contact with New Hope Colony," Walker said without preamble. "All communications went dark 30 minutes ago." Reed felt his stomach tighten. New Hope was Earth's newest settlement, home to 10,000 civilians. Any distress signals? Nothing. Walker's image flickered as he sent data, just like the mining outpost last week, and the research station before that. They simply vanish. On the secondary screens, Dr. Anna Wells pulled up sensor readings from the colony's last transmission. "Sir, look at this." She highlighted a section of data. "The same energy signature we detected near the other lost colonies. Valdorian ships. They're testing us," Reed said, watching the pattern emerge on the map. 3 colonies gone in 2 weeks, each one closer to Earth than the last. Getting bolder with each attack. The command center doors opened, and more staff hurried in. Screens lit up around them, showing the status of the Nightshade and her newly completed sister ship, the U.S. Phantom. Both vessels waited silently in their underwater berths, invisible even to the base's own sensors. "I've called an emergency session of the Galactic Council," Walker continued. "They need to address these attacks." Reed laughed bitterly. "They'll dismiss it, just like they dismiss everything about humanity." "Of course they will." Walker's smile was cold. "That's exactly what we want." New data flashed across the screens. Another colony had gone silent. This one only 3 light years from Earth's solar system. 4 colonies, Anna said quietly. 40,000 people, just gone. Reed studied the attack pattern. "They're not just testing our defenses, they're testing our response time, seeing how quickly we can react to threats." He looked up at Walker. "Sir, they're planning something big." "Agreed." Walker nodded. "The question is, do we wait for them to make their move, or do we act first?" The room fell silent. Everyone knew what was at stake. The Nightshade was ready, but they'd only run tests in Earth's solar system. Taking her into Valdorian space would be different. One mistake, one flaw in their stealth systems. "Admiral," Reed straightened his shoulders. "Request permission to take the Nightshade on her first combat mission." Walker's image leaned forward. "You understand what you're asking. If they detect you, if anything goes wrong, the Valdorians will claim we violated their territory. They'll have their excuse for open war. And if we do nothing," Reed countered, "we'll keep losing colonies. More people will vanish. They're already at war with us, sir. They just haven't announced it yet." Anna pulled up the Nightshade's latest test results. "The stealth systems are perfect, better than perfect. We've solved problems the Valdorians don't even know exist." She looked at Walker. "We're ready." Walker was quiet for a long moment. On the screens behind him, the lost colony count updated to 5. Another 5,000 humans gone without a trace. "Very well." Walker's voice was firm. "Captain Reed, your orders are simple. Take the Nightshade into Valdorian space. Find our people if they're still alive. And most importantly," he paused, his expression hardening, "find out what they're planning." Reed saluted. "Yes, sir. When do we leave?" "Immediately. The Phantom will remain here to guard Earth." Walker's image started to fade. "And Captain, good hunting." The screen went dark. Reed turned to his crew, seeing determination in every face. They'd trained for this, prepared for this moment. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity's first stealth ship could really do. "Battle stations," he ordered. "We launch in 30 minutes." Deep in her underwater dock, the U.S. Nightshade hummed to life, invisible and deadly. The hunt was about to begin, and the hunters would never see them coming. The U.S. Nightshade slipped through Valdorian space like a dream, invisible, silent, untouchable. Captain Reed stood on the bridge, watching alien warships pass by on their screens. None of them showed any sign of detecting the human vessel. "Status report," Reed whispered, though he knew the Valdorians couldn't hear them even if he shouted. "Still undetected, sir," Lieutenant Tom Baker reported from the sensor station. "We're picking up massive fleet movements, biggest gathering of Valdorian ships I've ever seen." Through the main viewport, Reed watched as another battle cruiser passed within kilometers of their position. The alien ship's sensors swept right through them, finding nothing. Dr. Anna Wells' stealth technology was working perfectly. "Count so far?" Reed asked. "Over 300 warships," Baker replied, his voice tense. "They're gathering near their main fleet base at Valdor Prime. And, sir, they're all combat vessels. No supply ships, no support craft." Reed's jaw tightened. Only one reason for a fleet like that. Any sign of our missing colonists? "Negative, sir. But we're picking up something strange." Baker adjusted his screens. Energy readings from the planet's surface. They matched the signatures we detected near our lost colonies. The Nightshade drifted closer to Valdor Prime, its quantum engines completely silent. Even the ship's crew could barely feel it move. Years of training let them work by touch and memory, not relying on visual contact with their own vessel. "Sir," Baker's voice rose slightly, "getting readings from a massive facility on the surface. It's some kind of holding area. I'm detecting human life signs." Reed moved to the sensor station. The readings were clear, thousands of human biosignatures, concentrated in one location. "They're missing people, all gathered in one place." "They're alive," Reed breathed. "But why? Why take them prisoner instead of—" He didn't finish the thought. A new alert flashed on their screens. A massive Valdorian command ship was approaching the fleet. Its crystalline structure dwarfed the other vessels, stretching nearly 2 kilometers in length. "That's the Valdorian High Command ship," Reed said. "Get us closer. I want to know what they're saying." The Nightshade silently maneuvered through the forest of alien ships, positioning itself near the command vessel. Their advanced sensors easily penetrated the Valdorians' communication security. "Fleet assembly is complete," a translated voice came through their speakers. "The humans suspect nothing. Their primitive sensors are blind to our movements." Another voice, deeper and more authoritative. "Excellent. Their colonies were pathetically easy to capture. Their main worlds will fall just as quickly." Reed's hands gripped the back of Baker's chair. They were listening to the Valdorians plan Earth's invasion. "The human prisoners have proved useful," the first voice continued. "Their biological structure is surprisingly resilient. They will make excellent labor stock once their worlds are conquered." The deeper voice laughed. "Their ambassador still begs the Galactic Council to investigate their lost colonies. Such a primitive species, always looking for help from others. They never suspected we were behind it." Reed turned to his communications officer. "Are you getting all this?" "Every word, sir. Full recording, authenticated and encrypted." "Sir," Baker interrupted, "they're distributing attack plans to the fleet. Primary targets, invasion corridors. They're planning to hit Earth in less than 48 hours." Reed studied the tactical display. 300 warships, each one powerful enough to level a city. Against Earth's conventional forces, it would be a slaughter. But the Valdorians didn't know about the Nightshade, or the Phantom, or the other stealth ships nearly ready for launch. "Send everything to Admiral Walker," Reed ordered. "Complete sensor scans, fleet positions, invasion plans. Most importantly, the location of our people." "Transmitting now, sir. Quantum burst transmission. They'll never detect it." Reed watched the massive alien fleet, all their arrogant power on display. They thought humanity was weak, blind, helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Plot a course back to Earth," he ordered. "Maximum speed. It's time to prepare our welcome party." The Valdorian fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system exactly as planned. 300 warships emerged from hyperspace, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the starlight. Their formation was perfect, arranged in attack routes just as the Nightshade had observed during its spy mission. In Earth's Defense Command Center, Admiral Walker watched them approach. Around him, officers monitored screens showing Earth's apparent defenses, a scattered collection of outdated ships and orbital platforms. The perfect picture of a vulnerable planet. "Right on schedule," Walker said quietly. He activated his comlink. "All Phantom ships, report." "Nightshade, ready." Captain Reed's voice was steady. "Phantom, ready. Wraith, ready. Spectre, ready. Shadow, Ready. 5 invisible ships spread throughout the solar system, each one carrying weapons the Valdorians had never seen before, each one completely undetectable. The Valdorian command ship broadcast its message to Earth, their arrogance clear in every word. Primitive humans, your time has come. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Resist, and be destroyed. Walker smiled. Captain Reed, the fleet is yours. The Nightshade struck first. A quantum torpedo materialized inside the engine core of a Valdorian battle cruiser. There was no warning, no sensor contact, no sign of attack. The ship simply exploded from within. Before the Valdorians could react, the Phantom hit their left flank. 2 more ships vanished in silent explosions. The alien fleet's perfect formation began to waver. What's happening? The Valdorian commander's translated voice crackled through Earth's speakers. Where are they attacking from? No sensor contacts. Another voice replied. We can't detect any enemy ships. The Wraith Inspector struck from above and below, their gravity bombs tearing Valdorian ships apart. The Shadow emerged briefly from stealth just long enough to launch a spread of missiles, then vanished again before the aliens could lock weapons. Impossible. The Valdorian commander shouted. Their technology is primitive. They can't have stealth ships. Walker opened a channel to the Valdorian fleet. Remember what you said in the council chamber about how we should focus on developing basic stealth technology. He paused. Thank you for the advice. We took it very seriously. The Valdorian fleet tried to regroup, but they were fighting ghosts. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will, striking from impossible angles. Their advanced sensors were useless. Their powerful shields meant nothing against weapons that simply phased through them. Detection systems failing. Port squadron is gone. We can't track them. They're everywhere. The mighty invasion fleet began to break apart. Ships fired blindly into space, hoping to hit an invisible enemy. Some shots hit their own vessels instead, adding to the chaos. Your arrogance blinds you. Walker continued, his voice calm. You saw what we wanted you to see. Old ships. Outdated technology. A primitive species. He watched another Valdorian cruiser explode. You never wondered why we let you mock us, why we stayed silent. The Valdorian command ship tried to rally its forces, but it was too late. The fleet was in chaos, ships colliding in their panic to escape. The 5 Phantom ships continued their methodical destruction, striking with surgical precision. This is impossible. The Valdorian commander's voice shook. You're nothing but primitives. No, Walker replied. We're human, and you should have paid attention to our history. We're very good at surprising those who underestimate us. The remnants of the Valdorian fleet began to retreat, abandoning their grand invasion plans. Of 300 ships, barely 50 remained, all damaged, all fleeing in terror from an enemy they couldn't see. In the command center, Walker watched them run. Captain Reed, let them go. They need to tell others what happened here. The Nightshade decloaked briefly near the fleeing ships, letting them see their nightmare for just a moment before vanishing again. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer prey. They were the hunters now. The rescue fleet emerged from hyperspace near Valdor Prime, led by the U.S. Nightshade. 5 human stealth ships surrounded the Valdorian homeworld, still invisible to every sensor in the system. The few remaining defense ships orbiting the planet had no idea they were there. Status report, Captain Reed ordered from the Nightshade's bridge. Local fleet is in disarray, Lieutenant Baker reported. Most of their ships were lost in the failed Earth invasion. The ones left behind are old models, minimal crew. He paused, checking his readings. They're scared, sir. Running routine patrols but staying close to their defense platforms. Reed nodded. The tables had completely turned. Now it was the Valdorians who jumped at shadows, who feared attack from an enemy they couldn't see. Signal the other ships, Reed commanded. Begin Operation Homecoming. The 5 Phantom ships split up, each taking position around different sectors of the planet. On the surface below, in the massive holding facility they discovered earlier, thousands of human colonists waited for rescue, though they didn't know it yet. "Sir," Baker called out, detecting increased communications from the surface. "They know something's wrong. Their long-range sensors show their invasion fleet hasn't returned." Reed allowed himself a small smile. "Time to make our presence known. Open a channel to their planetary defense command." The main screen lit up with the image of a Valdorian commander, his crystalline form dulled with stress. Before he could speak, Reed cut in. "This is Captain Michael Reed of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your invasion force has been destroyed." He let that sink in for a moment. "We're here for our people." The Valdorian's translator conveyed his shock. "Impossible. You have no ships capable of reaching our world. Our sensors show nothing." "Look to your left," Reed said calmly. The nightshade decloaked for 3 seconds, just long enough for the Valdorian to see the massive stealth ship hovering near his command center. Then it vanished again. That's impossible," the commander stuttered. "Your arrogance made it possible," Reed replied. "While you mocked our primitive technology, we built something beyond your understanding. Now you have 2 choices." His voice hardened. "Release our colonists immediately, or we'll take them by force. You wouldn't dare attack our homeworld." The Wraith decloaked next, firing a precision shot that disabled a defense platform. The shadow appeared on the other side of the planet, destroying 2 patrol ships before vanishing. The Phantom and Spectre revealed themselves just long enough to target the main defense grid's power stations. All across Valdor Prime, alarms blared. Their mighty defenses, their advanced technology, meant nothing against enemies they couldn't track or fight. "The next demonstration," Reed said quietly, "will be considerably less gentle." The Valdorian commander's crystalline form trembled. "Wait. We will release your people. All of them. Just don't destroy our world." "A wise choice. Begin transport immediately." "And Commander," Reed leaned forward, "if a single human is harmed during evacuation, your entire defense grid disappears. Permanently." Within hours, transport ships began lifting off from the surface, carrying Earth's lost colonists to safety. The Phantom ships escorted each transport, still invisible, still untouchable. In the Nightshade's medical bay, Dr. Anna Wells checked the readings of the rescued colonists. "They're all here, Captain. 40,000 people, alive and mostly well." The Valdorians kept them as study subjects, trying to understand human resilience. Reed watched through the viewport as another transport docked. "They studied us, mocked us, thought they knew everything about us." He shook his head. "They never understood the most important thing about humans." "What's that, sir?" "We're our most dangerous when others think we're weak." He turned to his crew. "Set course for Earth. Let's take our people home." Behind them, Valdor Prime's mighty empire had been humbled by ships they couldn't see, using technology they'd dismissed as impossible. The age of mocking humanity was over. The Galactic Council chamber felt different this time. Where once there had been laughter and mockery, now there was uneasy silence. The hundreds of alien delegates watched nervously as Admiral Walker took the speaker's platform. The Valdorian section sat empty, their ambassador notably absent. "Members of the Council," Walker began, his voice carrying through the vast space. 2 weeks ago, the Valdorian Empire launched an unprovoked invasion of Earth space with 300 warships. They expected to find a helpless, primitive world. He paused, looking around the chamber. Instead, they found something else. The main display activated, showing recorded footage from the battle. Valdorian ships exploding from invisible attacks. The mighty invasion fleet breaking apart in panic. The council members watched in stunned silence. "For years, we let you believe we were technologically backward," Walker continued. "We accepted your mockery, your contempt, your dismissal of our capabilities." He gestured to the back of the chamber, where massive doors were slowly opening. Perhaps it's time we showed you what humanity can really do. The U.S. Nightshade cloaked inside the council chamber itself, its massive form somehow fitting perfectly in the space. Delegates gasped, some rising from their seats in alarm. The ship hung there for a moment, then vanished again, reappearing in different locations around the room before becoming completely invisible. Impossible. A bug-like Centauri representative clicked. No species has achieved true invisibility. And yet here we are, Walker replied calmly. He activated another display, showing the rescue of Earth's colonists from Valdor Prime. The Valdorians kidnapped 40,000 of our people, thinking we couldn't stop them. They were wrong. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs, a glowing energy being floated forward. You penetrated Valdorian space, reached their homeworld. Their defenses are the strongest in the galaxy. We're the strongest, Walker corrected. 5 ships. That's all it took to humble the mighty Valdorian Empire. 5 ships they never saw coming. He pressed another button, and the Nightshade decloaked one final time, now hovering directly over the council platform. Its hull seemed to bend light itself, its form challenging the eyes of every species present. Humanity requests full military standing in the Galactic Council, Walker announced. Not because we need it, but because we've earned it. We also demand the right to expand our territory, the same rights you denied us before. The council speaker, a tall being of pure light, moved forward. The council recognizes that circumstances have changed. Your species has demonstrated remarkable capabilities, but surely there's no need for threats. This isn't a threat, Walker interrupted. It's a demonstration. Right now, similar ships patrol Earth's space. They guard our colonies. They protect our interests. He looked around the chamber. We don't want war. We never did. But we will no longer tolerate being treated as primitives. The vote was quick and unanimous. Earth received everything it requested: full military standing, expanded territory rights, and a seat on the Defense Council. As the session ended, delegates hurried to congratulate Walker, many trying to establish new trade agreements or diplomatic ties. Back on the Nightshade's bridge, Captain Reed watched through the ship's sensors. Funny how quickly attitudes change when the tables turn. Walker joined him, smiling slightly. They respect strength. Always have. But we showed them something more important than strength. What's that, sir? We showed them that appearances can be deceiving. That true power isn't about showing off or mocking others. Walker watched as the council chamber emptied. It's about knowing when to wait, when to watch, and when to act. The Nightshade turned invisible one last time, preparing to return to Earth. Around the galaxy, news spread quickly. Humanity was no longer the galaxy's underdog. They were something far more interesting, a species that had turned mockery into motivation and silence into strength. The age of underestimating humanity was over. The age of respect had begun.